Welcome back, everyone. I hope you've had a lovely Boxing Day. This is Formula 2 now. Of course, it's the first time that ALR has ever hosted a Formula 2 championship. And my word, it was very interesting to get through all the teams and the drivers there. Very interesting indeed. Then we have also got some new venues for F2 as well, which very much made it a tricky old season indeed. Only 17 rounds for Formula 2, but however, we had a feature and a sprint race. Then, for any of you who's unfamiliar with this with Formula 2 format, you're going to absolutely love it. And here we go then, and we're going to start off with Bahrain then, and I've got Alex with me, who Alex was a competitor for the rolling carling team, along with Troy. Alex, and so Alex, good evening.
Welcome to the wonderful F2. Thank you for having me.
Oh yes, thank you for coming along. Goodness me, I got some surprised you don't get fed up with me with all this shenanigans going on. I'm looking forward to this Formula 2 season review, mainly because I love Formula 2. I'm not sure it's probably the most popular of categories in ALR. Would you agree with that, Alex?
I think it was one that a lot of people weren't too fond of, put it that way. But at the same time, it's one that takes a lot of practice, a lot of time to get used to. So I think those that did stick it out, of course, throughout the season, they really improved throughout the season. Everybody did really, because it was just. It was getting to grips with the F2 cars at the first stage. As you can see there, all sorts of things going on in turn one.
It was, and talk more about the Formula 2 machines then, if you can, because to me, it's got four wheels. It looks like an F1 car, just a bit slower. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah, in a nutshell. No, so no, it's pretty much it's a stock car, so all the cars are literally the same. There's no developments or anything like that, like in F1, where the cars are all slightly different in terms of the inner workings of the vehicle. That is, of course, they're all pretty much the same shape as well. But no, so there's no difference in terms of engine powers and downforce, that sort of thing. It's all a stock car, all the same, and there's no ERS, anything to play with, unfortunately. So that of course makes it bit more sort of skill oriented than in the F1 cars. So that's why it takes a bit more time to get used to, I think, in my opinion. Oh dear.
Yeah, that wasn't very good, was it? Talking of skill, I think a couple of drivers lacked the skill going into turn one there. Goodness gracious me. And someone's flipping the bird as well. Good heavens. Right then. But the Bahrain then, of course, you mentioned about the lack of errors then, but we do have DRS in Formula 2. Do you think the DRS was quite powerful in an F2 machine? Because there are some races where the overtaking seemed to be lacking in terms of the DRS zones. Was that your feeling as well in the carling team?
It was. It depended on the track. I think around Bahrain sometimes it was quite useful. Obviously, down the main straight was probably the most powerful in terms of the middle straight. It wasn't that much effective really, but yeah, it varied from track to track. I would say.
And of course, Bahrain, then that's fantastic. Of course, we also, as well, the format is we've got a sprint and a feature race going on. We've got a couple of sprint races going on in Formula One, which you may see, which you may have seen over the past couple of days. But Formula Two, there's a sprint race in every single race. Does that change your psyche, your planning going into a Formula Two race?
I think it makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more overtaking, and a lot more sort of position changes, I suppose you could say, throughout both races. That is, I think in terms of the sprint, you just need to focus on making sure you get to the finish line on that set of compound of tyres, because you don't have too many tyres to use in Formula 2, especially in the format that we had to use, unfortunately. So yeah, so there was literally you literally had one set of tyres pretty much to go through the sprint, and then you had either a soft and a medium for the feature after that sort of thing. So it was yeah, you had to manage the sprint, because obviously if you got any damage or anything like that, then it could come back to you and sort of negatively impact your feature race as well.
Oh, good heavens! I'd rather just go full beans. Of course, the other thing as well, we also had qualifying was slightly different as well. It's one shot qualifying for Formula Two. Personally, I would rather have had like a single qualifying session of about like 18 minutes, like silver and bronze does. But unfortunately, that option's not on the game. But what it did do, I feel, was it certainly made qualifying exciting. Unfortunately, from a spectator's point of view or a commentator's point of view, like myself, I was getting a bit ragey in the old commentary box because I could never follow what was going on. But from your point of view, did you enjoy the challenge of just one shot qualifying?
I wasn't very good at it, so no. But yeah, like you said, there was only the option of having either a one-shot qualifying or a 30-minute qualifying. But in both instances, it was both instances, you got the same compound of tyres, same number of compound of tyres anyway in either qualifying format. So it made sense just to go with the one-shot qualifying because it was a bit quicker. But yeah, really, I think it really, oh dear, another one. So yeah, it really put the focus on making sure you got that one lap right before, well, unless you obviously wanted to start from the back, that is, by invalidating or by not getting a time on the board.
My goodness me, there was a lot of action on that final lap. It seemed like everyone waited to that final lap to really go, definitely throw it against the wall, literally and figuratively. We was racing in the day in Bahrain. Did that make a difference to the racing at all then? Because it's a lot hotter during the day. Did you feel that the racing was completely different from day to night in Bahrain?
Yeah, I think it does affect the tyre compound, that sort of thing, the warm up, and obviously the temperatures throughout the races as well. I think you'll see obviously further on through the review as well that there was some tracks that the tyre wear was really high because I think obviously the temperatures were affecting the tyre compounds as well throughout the racing. So yeah, you'll see in a few more instances after this. But yeah, it really was a bit of a conundrum sometimes depending on the track as well.
Selfishly, I loved it. There was a couple of races. I think Australia was one highlight for me, where you guys, we're going to see it now in Monaco actually, but there was a couple of wet races in Formula Two, and there is no intermediate tyres. Well, I think I might have got the race the wrong way around. But how difficult was it to go straight from a wet to a slick tyre, or from a slick to a wet tyre? I remember in Austria as well, you took the gamble of staying out on the wet tyres, and I think you got a puncture in the end. How marginal was it using the wet tyres?
It was quite difficult to call, and that's where I fell down, especially in Austria, like you mentioned. But no, because there's no there's no intermediate. There's nothing in between the dries to the wets. It needs to be a properly wet track for it to, as we can see here, perfect timing in Monaco as well of all tracks. But no, it needs to be a completely wet track for all the wet compounds to be put on the car. And when there's changing conditions, as we saw in a few races throughout the season, then it's very difficult to try and call it right, especially compared to in F1.
We've talked a lot about the Formula 2, the format, and all the different rule changes. Personally, or different changes to the rules. Personally, I quite like the fact there's no intermediate tyres. It certainly made things a lot more interesting, didn't it? This race is actually a great race as well to watch. The drivers probably hated it, but I certainly loved it, of course. But this is the only time we're racing in Monaco this season, so make the most of it, because we didn't have any racing in Monaco in Formula 1 world, but Formula 2 drivers certainly made up for it. So let's get on to the season itself, Ed, shall we? There has been a lot of ups and a lot of downs in Formula 2, but I must say that there's a couple of drivers that have stood out for me this season. And, of course, Troy was absolutely phenomenal. Of course, he was the defending champion in gold. He came into F2, and, of course, he also blew the competition away as well. He was certainly pretty hot, Troy. Was you was his teammate, Alex, and goodness me. I think overall, you did a very good job of keeping Carling in the teams championship, but how difficult or easy was it to be Troy's teammate?
Oh, it was very easy. I was just letting him do all the hard work, but he did a fantastic job throughout the season. Pretty much every race, putting in some fantastic points for the team, and I was just there, sort of thing, to to hopefully get a couple of extra bonus points here and there, sort of, really. So I didn't, well, like I said, I jumped in and I was a bit late sort of adapting to the cars and that sort of thing as well, but I had done some F2 races before, but yeah, it was quite nice actually, because yeah, I think to be honest, I think Troy was doing all the work in the team, put it that way.
But in the end, though, of course, you did contribute a podium or two for Carling. So yes, I wouldn't say that you let Troy do all the hard work, but he did have 11 podiums this season. Troy did in 13 starts, which is absolutely phenomenal stuff indeed. As we're coming to the end of this Monaco Grand Prix, there's anarchy. Some drivers are on soft tyres, some drivers is on the wet tyres. There's other drivers on the purple marked super soft tyres. Goodness me, I haven't said that in years, have I? I do miss the multicolour soft, super soft, and ultra soft tyres. I wish they'd bring those back. Probably not, actually. But in the end of this race, my word, Alex, there was to me the track was too slick. I thought for the slick tyres to even come out. But a lot of drivers are gambling here. Why was that? Do you think? Was it because the wet tyres had passed their prime at this stage of the sprint race?
It's certainly possible. Yeah, I think you can see, like I said, speaking earlier about the tyre wear on this occasion, on the sprint race here is going to be quite high on those wet compound tyres, because they didn't really want it to last more than 10, 11 laps anyway, regardless of the track. But yeah, so they had to sort of just muddle through and hope for the best. And then those on the, I think it was the, I don't know if you remember the Hypersofts. Those were the ones that we want to bring back, really. Those were great. So, but unfortunately not in F2 anyway. But no, so I think those who did pit had to make a gamble, had to make a call to pit anyway because of the tyre weather they were facing, and decided that as the track was slightly drying out, it was worth a gamble. But it did pay off for some. It didn't work out too much for some as well, especially myself.
I love the sprint race of Monaco. It's fantastic. We're now into the feature race and 21 laps around here. You want to bring back the Hypersoft. I'd love to see the super hard, but I don't think they ever used that, did they? Or did they? I think they may have used it once in Silverstone. Anyway, goodness gracious me, we're not past the watershed, don't worry. So as we get on to the feature race, and this race was absolutely phenomenal. Oh, that wasn't there for Sick as Muck, unfortunately, as they were down into the Nouvelle chicane there. Sick as Muck there, clipping the inside arm co. Sick as Muck was more often than not a super sub up until where he became a full-time driver in the Belgian Grand Prix, and really helped the PHM team, which they were called Charus back then, before they changed the name midway through the season then. But Sick as Muck doing a really good job there, and it was actually great talking to Sick as Muck. Sorry, I don't really talk to him often, but we spoke to him on the last stream, I think, of the season in Abu Dhabi, so it was really cool to see that was. On board of Luke, and talking of Luke, and we'll also talk about another ART driver in just a few moments of Farf. But ART, oh dear, that's probably not a good time to talk about them actually. But ART, they seem to have two awesome drivers, but unfortunately two separate parts of the season, Alex. Of course, Luke was racing for majority of the season before he had to give up his seat then, as he was off to Australia, and then Farf took over for the second half there. But ART will be quite disappointed by by how that worked out then. But what did you make of Luke's performance earlier on in the season in F2?
Yeah, it was definitely very good, put it that way. But no, he was wanting to be fighting for the podiums, fighting for big points in most races. So yeah, it was a bit of a loss for ART when he did have to jump over to the other side, that being Australia, that is. So yeah, no, it was like I said, he was doing really well. I think he was actually in the top 3 of the championship at most points of the season, especially through the early phase. And then of course Farf, when he jumped into the car as the replacement, sort of took to F2 like a duck to water as well. So yeah, it went pretty well for the team there.
Farf certainly loved Formula 2, didn't they? And across the line comes the High-Techs, and that was one of, I think, 2 teams got 1-2s in this season. The High-Tech team was the first team, and I think the second team was the Campos. But Gamer won the Monaco Grand Prix in fine style from Vester in second. Vester got a 6-second penalty. A lot of penalties in that race, Alex, which certainly cost Vester, unfortunately. Kai Dow getting his best result of the season with third position there. It was a very good result indeed. And of course, we'll talk about Toy Coin a bit more later on as well, as he starts to flourish after this race. Then, to finish in Monaco, I think you've certainly been happy with that, Alex. Of course, you do enjoy the street circuits for some unknown reason.
No, I like Monaco. I like all the street circuits. Like you said, I don't know why. There's something wrong with me, but otherwise, no, it was good fun actually. Because like you said, it was the only Monaco of the ALR season this season for all divisions. So yeah, it was just a bit of fun, that one.
And now we move on to home of British motorsport. It's the British Formula 2 race. I keep going Grand Prix. It's not, is it? Of course it's not. But feature and sprint race here in Silverstone, round 9 of the Formula 2 Championship. Then we're over half distance now. It's I say it's a short season compared to what we normally have in the ALR, Alex. Usually it's over the 20s, but only 17 rounds in the season, albeit with sprints and feature race then, which does knock up the old points tally. But if you have a couple of races which you're not really fond of, and how difficult is it then to have only 17 rounds in a season?
Well, like I said, it can. Well, with the shorter season, it can obviously mean that a couple of bad races can negatively affect you a bit more in the championship standings. Of course, like I said, it was the original, well, the official F2 calendar in terms of the tracks that we raced on throughout the season, plus three sort of driver picks that we picked at the towards the end of the season, which was Japan, Qatar, and Brazil, which I think were not traditional F2 circuits, put it that way. But yeah, like I said, if you have a short season, then it can be good, it can be bad. It depends on how the performances go, really, which is why it sort of it has affected some and it has benefited some as well at the same time.
Certainly is. It's very intriguing, isn't it? I think, from my point of view, I'll be feeling a bit more like under the cosh kind of thing if knowing that there's 17 races and potentially there's a couple of tracks which I'm not going to like on the old calendar either. Yet you did mention about the driver vote. We had three new circuits, or not new circuits, new circuits to the Formula 2 class, which was of course Japan, Qatar, and Brazil, and some really fine racing there as well. As you can see, we're going very close into Luffield there. Goodness gracious me, that they're all over the show there. But at this stage of the season, we're starting to really see a picture develop in Formula 2. I usually, very foolishly, I always have a cheeky old I know who's going to do well this season, and I'm always wrong. And unfortunately, Silverstone kind of really showed how badly wrong I can go. Siege, who was in this battle as well at the time, and Siege, who was an absolute fine, was incredible in Formula 2 when we did do a very brief Formula 2 season back when we was HD a few years ago. But Siege then really struggled in the Formula 2 cars then. When you last raced in Formula 2, Alex, compared to a few years ago, has the Formula 2 cars changed to how they are now, or is it just the dynamics of the game, do you think?
Yeah, the cars haven't changed at all. Well, they shouldn't really, because they are literally meant to be a standard car. But yeah, I think it's just down to the dynamics from the game, like you said. In this sense, on this game, I think it was actually, it could have been, well, roughly probably say a bit harder actually than the last game in terms of the F2 driving. Obviously, with the lack of grip on the last game, it was quite nice to be in an F2 car because you didn't have the speed or the downforce really, so you could just literally flick the car in and it would stick because of the lack of downforce, that is. Or the lack of the difference in the downforce, put it that way. So yeah, it was quite a different experience racing in F2 last game compared to this game actually, but it still was quite fun actually on this one. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
And what I do like as well about Formula 2 is wherever you qualify in the sprint race, you do get oh dear, getting very cozy down there in Brooklands. Wherever you qualify, you get it gets reversed, doesn't it, in the sprint race, which makes it very interesting. So so even though Troy, well, up until this point anyway, Troy was quite comfortably in the lead. Then you're in the lead now, Alex. But you have come into the pits there. Did you like the challenge of having to come through the field then, or seeing other drivers then potentially having to fight their way through the field? How more interesting or difficult was it? Oh dear, that's getting very cozy down there.
Well, like I said, I didn't enjoy it, getting through the field because I never do. Doesn't matter what class of car you put me in. I don't. If I'm out in the front, then might be okay. Then I'll just make some mistakes and ruin it myself. But no, it's always difficult to come through a field, whichever class of car it is as well, because it's you've got to rely on everyone's racing ability, everyone's kindness, and your pace at the same time. But no, I think it lended itself to making it a lot more entertaining for F2 personally, and obviously watching it as well and commentating on it for you, Sean, because obviously there's a lot more chopping and changing throughout the order, throughout the racing. Obviously, what happened in terms of the sprint, the top 10 get reversed. So then if you qualify P1, you start P10 in the sprint, and then obviously the qualifying also sets the grid for the feature race as well. But yeah, it really made for some entertaining Grand Prix, I think, and for me, a bit too much fun, I suppose you could say.
You could never have too much fun, Alex. But I love the sprint race. I must say, I quite enjoyed watching the big guns, the likes of Troy, the likes of Toy Coin, Cirrus Mushroom, and Artie Beat coming through the field. It was quite cool to see. Of course, you see in this race, and Farfair started to really stretch out his toes in Formula 2. Farf with 2 sprint race wins and 4 podiums, 2 podiums in the sprint race, 4 podiums in the feature race. Very Farf absolutely loved that. Of course, I think this is the one and only time that Farf and Luke were actually raced together in that what car was he in? Oh, ART, goodness me. And then we come to Italy, and Alex, there was a big change here because we went from Formula 2 2022 machinery to Formula 1 to Formula 2 2023 machinery. There was a lot of and ahhing when I was starting to get into this race then, but here in Monza. But was it any different at all, apart from the colour scheme?
No, literally, it's just a update on liveries, pretty much. So there was no change to the driving style or anything like that, or the feel of the car. It was just down to the pretty colours on the cars. So yeah, I think, like I said, they I don't know why, but they seem to roll the F2 change out a bit later on once the game's already released. So yeah, we sort of took to the track. The cars look a little bit different now, but other than that, it was pretty much all the same.
Personally, we all know about my love for helmets, and I do like a design, and that's why I got very excited when the cars changed. Also, the fact is we had the official Premier livery as well instead of the Red Bull liveries. Don't get me wrong, the Red Bull livery's all right. Oh, goodness gracious me. Sylvester taking a very audacious line down into 1 and 2 there. I think he took the old Liuzzi line, if anyone remembers that 2011 start. Just watching Moomin, who Moomin enjoyed himself in Formula 2. I think he got a sprint race win in the Dutch Grand Prix, in the Dutch race, which is absolutely brilliant stuff indeed. It was becoming anarchy, though, at this stage of the race. Alex Every in the sprint, as there was overtaken left, right, and centre. And look at this, we got 4 cars going down into turn 1. As oh goodness me, someone's even off the circuit as well. Quickly, whilst the problem with these reviews, Alex, is they're not. They're a bit too short sometimes, but let's quickly go through drivers that I just want to highlight. Firstly, Reflections. He raced in every single race in Formula 2, and he's raced in every single race that he has been associated, that he's had a seat for. Oh dear, oh dear. Unfortunately, Jenner came to blows there with Smithy Almighty. Luckily, Smithy Almighty's not his admin, and actually he is his admin, isn't he? So that's probably why he might get a penalty later on. But of course, Reflections there has never missed a race in his ALR career when he has a full-time seat. Same with Cirrus Mushroom as well. Those 2 drivers then did not miss a single race in Formula 2 this season. And Vessier only missed 1 race as well, and I think he fell asleep, unfortunately. Otherwise, we could have highlighted him as well. But Alex, that is pretty amazing, isn't it, for Reflections Cirrus Mushroom again then. So always present in ALR. It makes me love the sport.
No, it's commitment to the very limit as well, isn't it? From Cirrus Mushroom and Reflection from last season as well, was exactly the same as this one. So they've competed in every single race last season, both being in 100% the 100% league as well, and their own divisions, and then to repeat it again this season as well is absolutely fantastic. So well deserved. Plaudits to them. Fantastic all season from both of them, and I don't think. I don't think Reflections enjoyed F2, put it that way, throughout the season. He had a few difficulties, but he kept on plugging away, and yeah, we'll have to give him some compensation after that as well, because he had some very difficult races.
Yeah, he certainly did, and I got big respect for Reflections because it's very hard. As Toy Coin has left all kinds of rubber on the start line now. Good gracious me! But big ups to Reflections and Serious Mushroom as well, but especially Reflections because Reflections, I think, as you said, Formula 2 may not have been his bag there, but he turned up. They turned up every single race and they participated, which. Massive respect there, and also massive respect for these drivers that are going through wide down into turn one. But yeah, I wanted to mention that in this season review, and I'm not sure who picked this race, Alex, but I have a feeling that Farf may have slipped you a chocolate bar or something because I noticed that Farf won the sprint race. Shocking stuff indeed there. As we're just watching Kaidao, who Kaidao is a master of 100% now, but Formula 2 he's struggling. So I think Kaidao finished second last season in 100%, if I'm not very much mistaken. But another driver there, Kaidao, was certainly a part of the Formula 2 grid more often than not. And a lot of our and some of our F2 drivers also who came into ALR as 100% racers, then also took part as well in this one, like R2B, like Martin. I'm just taking a look down at my list here, and of course Kaidao as well. Then so hats off to those drivers. Oh goodness me, and we got all kinds of shenanigans. I go into pit lane now as camera racer having a couple of issues as well. Camera of course stepped up to be a part of the Trident team after Trident there seemed to lose all their drivers out because Lucifer started off really well, didn't he? Here's Toy Coin then, as we got to mention Toy Coin. Toy Coin and the Campos team was pretty incredible to say the least. Toy Coin kept the championship going for just about up until the second to last race in Brazil. Toy Coin was, and of course I think his performance in F2 got him into Formula 1 in gold then, but Toy Coin then he really made his mark in F2, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely splendid drive from Toy Coin this race, and of course, for like you said, most races this season when he did jump into the seat as well, and really carry Campos as well to well, I shouldn't say carried it. Obviously, Serious Mushroom did a fantastic job as well, and actually was part of the battle between the Campos and the Carling teams at the in the final race for the constructors title. Spoiler alert. You might see that in a minute, but no, it was absolutely fantastic to have Toy Coin on the grid and a really good racer in F2. Again, adapted to the car quite quickly and showed his pace. But he in F1 as well, he's got some absolutely fantastic pace as well, as we've seen in gold as well.
Indeed, and 10 podiums as well in 12 qualifying attempts for Toy Coin. That is absolutely redonkulous. Brilliant stuff indeed there for Toy Coin, and he kept it going all the way up to Brazil then, as we do go to the final race in Abu Dhabi. And it was hopefully we've already heard a spoiler, but let's pretend we didn't hear that. But of course it was very much tense stuff in Abu Dhabi because of there was a team's championship on the line. Do you drivers care about the team's championship, Alex? Of course you was involved in this scrap then, which was getting very heated as well in the desert. But do you drivers care about the team's championship? Would you, Troy, Serious Mushroom or Toy Coin lose any sleep if you didn't win the title?
We definitely gave it a try. I remember trying to do some practice and get myself sorted for this race to at least try and help the team. As you might see, it didn't work out too well. But no, basically we wanted to win the constructors title as well, of course. With Troy being crowned the drivers' champion in Brazil the week before this one, then we wanted to I wanted to get him the whole lot, and he wanted to get the whole lot as well, I think. But yeah, it was. I don't think we would lose any sleep, put it that way. But I think it was just something that we wanted to add to the jewel of the crown, I suppose you could call it, for this finale of the F2 season, the first ever F2 season in ALR as well.
It was, and I definitely enjoyed F2. Of course, talking over Campos' accolades this season, Cirrus Mushroom getting 4 podiums, 5 podiums, I should say. Goodness me, I've got to get my Specsavers out. 5 podiums in the sprint, 4 podiums in the feature race, Toy Coin 3 podiums in the sprint, and 10 podiums in the feature race there. Cirrus Mushroom also got a win in the sprint, and Toy Coin got 5 wins in the feature there. Really impressive stuff indeed there for Campos. By the way, they were the team's champions in the end. Luckily, well, we'll talk about it in a minute then, but luckily, not it wasn't as close as what it could have been there. Unfortunately, Alex got boffed off by Cirrus Mushroom. Is that a word? Goodness me. We got knocked off by.
I'm sure he would have loved it.
Yes. Good heavens. But we'll look at. We got it. By the way, we've got the clip in, Alex. I'm sure you'll love to see it again. But in the end, there, it wasn't that close at all. But you was getting that fast at that point as well, because very much there, anything could happen towards the end of the races, and with safety cars and things like that. And of course, it was a couple of weeks ago. It was actually 2 years today that we had the Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen fiasco from Abu Dhabi 2021. I can't remember what happened in the end, but so anything can definitely happen indeed. So we got Farf currently leading this race. I must say, Alex, I think that you and Farf have kind of been picking these races. I reckon Farf's kind of bribed you on these, but Farf leading the way at the moment, just showing how much he loved F2. To be honest, it was really good, refreshing to see too, as well. Farf very much up and ready to go. I want to talk about Martin now. Martin came in as a 100% driver, and he raced. Martin did race 14 out of the 17 races this season in the Dams machine, and very much like Reflections there. Martin, I don't think was an F2 racer, well, pure racer by heart, but he certainly gave it a go as well, Alex. And I must say, I respect drivers that carry on when it is not going your way, because I certainly know about that, a thing or two about that, and you certainly do as well. I don't want to bring up all the bad memories, Alex, of what's been a difficult season for you, but how difficult is it then to keep yourself motivated, and the likes of yourself, Reflections and March then, but you've all of you have kept going there to the end?
Yeah, well, kept on plugging away. Martin, again, like you said, similar to Reflection, they've had a difficult season in the F2 cars, but yeah, he's done a good job of just carrying on and keeping on going, and yeah, it can be a bit demotivating, obviously, if you're struggling for form, but again, there's always the next race that can hopefully turn the corner as well.
It certainly is, and form is temporary, class is permanent. What I liked as well about this season in Formula 2, we had Gino, the silver champion. We had the gold champion in Troye. We had Vesser, one of the top runners in bronze in this championship. And of course we had German as well, floating in and out throughout the season. We had Percy at the beginning of the season as well, the eventual gold world champion. Cirrus Mushroom, a top runner in bronze, and Moomin, of course, been one of our super subs for most of the season. Great to see him getting a full-time drive with Virtuosi. It was really cool to see actually the mixture of grids then, with gold, silver, and bronze all being representative, and on them, and with this car as well. Alex, what did you think about? What did you make about having like mixed grids and things like that? Was you concerned at the beginning of the season of Formula 2 that maybe that some drivers would have more of an advantage over others, or was you looking forward to the fact of having mixed grids?
Yeah, like I said, it's nice that, like I said, the F2 league, the 100% league, whichever league it is just for people to enjoy some racing on Wednesdays. But no, I was actually surprised by how close everybody was actually, because like you said, I did think there was going to be some outstanding candidates in terms of the pace and that sort of thing. But obviously, adapting to the F2 cars is a bit of a different thing than the F1. So it was quite refreshing to see quite a lot of battles going on with different skill levels, and a lot of drivers there sort of throwing away the sort of mantra from the F1 sort of style of racing, and putting on some fantastic shows there in F2 as well.
And Gordo, I think, mentioned it best actually, saying that he liked F2 because it kind of leveled out the playing field, which was oh dear, here you go, Alex, your moment to shine. Oh dear, but to be fair, I remember looking at that and thinking that you did a really good job to hold it, and then Serious Mushroom just came in, absolutely whacked you off the circuit. I must say,
it was my fault. I shouldn't have come on that way. It was Mushroom was in the clear for that one for sure.
I'm gonna be honest. I reckon Mushroom was unhappy with some of your decision making in bronze for being a head steward this year. But of course, you did come on the track in a dangerous way. A shocking behaviour, Alex. Right, so we're just watching this battle here between Toy Coin. Indigo, of course, being a super sub tonight. I think this is his first time that he was racing in Formula 2, and I must say that this is the final race, by the way. In Abu Dhabi, we probably should have mentioned that. Indigo then, unfortunately, going a bit wide there, and because of that, then it really knocked him off kilter there, and I think because of that he dropped out of DRS, and then it all went downhill for Indigo. And look at Troy and Farfare. We know that these two have not seen eye to eye this season, have we? In the stewards room, my goodness me, it got very feisty on the circuit. But Alex, overall then, let's sum up F2. What have you made of it this season then, and do you think it might make a return in season 10 of ALR?
It's been quite interesting. I've enjoyed racing in it, and I think there was a few drivers that did as well. I think there was the opposite as well. Some people had a bit of a difficult time in F2, but no, it's been a fantastic sort of inaugural season for F2 in ALR. That is because, like I said, a lot of people didn't have the experience of racing in this class of car at all ever before. So yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. As far from Troy having a great battle around there, but
it felt personal, didn't it?
yeah, but I think we might see something different coming for next season if it's not been announced already, but I'm sure it has done. So yeah, we'll stay tuned for that one.
Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Alex, for the review of Formula 2. Fantastic stuff indeed then. Hats off to Troy then. Of course, he has now added Formula 2 to his collection of trophies there. Of course, he's now the gold champion, the silver champion, and now the F2 champion. You might have to go down to bronze to get the whole set. But well done indeed there to Troy. With being the first ever F2 world F2 champion then. Toy Coin, brilliant season this season for Formula 2. He was magnificent. Toy Coin was there. Those 10 pole positions was absolutely magical stuff indeed. R2 Beat then, of course, was a driver that was gone from 100% to F2, basically gone from complete opposite ends of the spectrum, really. 100% then usually about 56, 57 laps around Abu Dhabi. Around Formula 2, then we've only had like 17 laps for that feature race. Good gracious me. But brilliant stuff indeed there to those top three drivers. Absolutely hats off to those drivers indeed then. And so I'm just going to take a final look at the championship there. Troy 74 points in front of Toy Coin, and with R2 beating third. Serious Mushroom, so close yet so far, getting a top three position as well. Farfin, only a couple of races there, flew himself right up to fifth as well. Moomin doing a great job in eighth position. He really loved those Formula 2 machines there. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed there from all 20 drivers. Well, we had more than 20 drivers. We had a lot, didn't we, in the Formula 2 championship there. But those drivers really did make a fantastic show of it. And then in the team's championship, Campos just about won from Carling in the end. Then it went right down to the wire. The only championship that went right down to the wire in this in all the ALR seasons, and apart from the joint constructors, which hopefully we talked about in the gold, silver, or bronze ones. Then brilliant stuff indeed. Thank you very much to Alex, and who's joined me for this one tonight. It's been magnificent stuff indeed. We've got the awards now for Formula 2, and enjoy that because it's going to be fantastic. See you next year. Happy Christmas. Goodbye.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula 1 fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.